I am so honored and happy to present Carl DeMaio, who is the backbone of the recall of Governor Newsom. He will now give us the facts. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful being here, and I'm so glad that you're actually able to meet back in a facility that you're accustomed to. We cannot wait till this absurd pandemic, whatever you want to call it. It's not been a nice time for anyone in this country or anyone across the globe. But one of the reasons why we are doing the recall is that when our governor was confronted with that challenge, he was not able to rise to the occasion. He failed. He failed in so many ways. And this is just one example, because if you go through every issue facing California, this governor has been a colossal failure. And he doesn't seem to mind that he's failing. I don't think it's just because he's out of touch. I think he is so wrong on the issues and so arrogant that in many ways he doesn't really care. Well, guess what? He's going to care the day after we send him packing and put him on the unemployment line. I want to cover a couple things about the recall campaign and how you can be part of it, what's going to happen in the next 7 weeks. It's so important that you're all involved. This is not a sideline spectator role. This is an all-in, 100%, do everything we each can individually do to save this state. I'm asking you to fight as though your life depends upon it, because, my friends, your life does depend upon it. And let me explain why. This is not just about one race. It's not just about one governor. It's not just about one state. Although that should be reason enough for us to be all in to fight to get a yes vote on the recall. No, I would argue that this is a fight for our very country. We see what's going on in Washington, and it frightens us. It should frighten you, because we are seeing proposals in Washington that are so contrary, so backwards, so opposed to our very fundamental American values, our very system of government. And yet no one seems to really understand that. We've got people teaching our kids racism in school, outwardly saying that white people are racist, that they're privileged, that everyone else of a different skin color is a victim. And these kids are looking, age 7, age 8, age 9, they're looking at each other saying, I'm a victim? I mean, I think I'm a victim if I don't get enough video games, but wow, my teacher's telling me I'm a victim. And the kids over there are the aggressors. Don't like that at all. These kids are not born racist. They are right now being taught racism by our very own schools, and that is not something we can accept. We see our free speech rights being infringed upon by government and by social media platforms with the urging, with the encouragement of this administration and this president. We see an absolute increase in the size and scope of government, taxes going up, and of course the introduction of outright socialist programs. The notion of the government providing you with a universal basic income. That it doesn't matter whether you work, it doesn't matter whether you manage your finances responsibly, don't worry, everything's going to be free. Look, a government that promises you everything that you want will start by taking everything you have, starting with your personal freedom. We have never imagined that our country would be so close to where we are today, which is socialism, as well as an authoritarian regime that dictates how you are to live your life, that takes your fundamental freedoms away, that says that you must comply with their mandates because they have determined it is the appropriate course for your personal life. We have to stand up and say, absolutely not, and the way you send a message is during elections. But my friends, the next election isn't until November of 2022 for the House and the Senate. And the election for the White House isn't until November 2024. And here's the reality. We cannot wait. We don't have that time. Our country will be unrecognizable and irreparably damaged if we wait that long. The only election we have between now and then of consequence nationally is the recall of Governor Gavin Newsom. When a blue state rises up and says, this is extremism, this socialism is not who we are, and we're changing course, that will send a clear message nationwide that we don't want the AOC agenda, we don't want the Biden approach, we want to go in a new direction. That is what's on the line. And make no mistake about it, I would argue that is worthy of understanding that this is a fight for our life. This is a fight for our country. So how do we win in the next 7 weeks? It ain't going to be easy. Remember, we live in the socialist paradise of California. It's not paradise, it's hell. They have ballot harvesting. They're doing an all mail-in election, which means every Juan, Dick, and Harry is going to get a ballot. The dead people are going to get the ballots. People are going to be getting ballots at homes that have never lived there. Last year, we did a report on erroneous ballots, and we surveyed Californians using a polling methodology. And we said, did you receive an erroneous ballot at your home? And we define an erroneous ballot as a ballot that's a duplicate or triplicate for the same individual. How many of you know a friend or you yourself received a duplicate ballot for the same individual in your household? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Think about that. Duplicate or triplicates, same name, different voter ID. Why? The motor voter program in the state of California is producing duplicate and triplicate ballots for people. So those are floating out there. How many of you here received a ballot at your home for someone who does not live there anymore, or that you don't even know who they are? They've never lived there. How many of you got a ballot for someone who does not live at your home or never did live at your home? Well, that's a surprise to me, because that was the #1 error of people saying, I got a ballot for my grandson, I got a ballot for my daughter, she moved 12 years ago. She's been living in Maryland for 12 years. I don't understand why I got a ballot for her. Well, she's always been on the voter rolls. We found illegal immigrants that got a ballot. We found individuals who were dead that got ballots. Why? Because the Democrats, they don't mind having really poorly maintained voter rolls. The idea for them is, let's get everyone listed on that voter system, and then let's now go out and do all mail-in ballot elections. So what happens? You've now separated people from their vote. We have what we call orphan ballots now. Orphan ballots float around now in every election, and now what have they done? They have legalized the very risky practice of ballot harvesting. That's where they go door to door in all sorts of neighborhoods, and they say, I'm here with the Democrat Party. I'm here to collect your ballot. Please hand it over. Have you voted yet? Okay, no? That's okay. We'll take care of it. Oh, your grandson got a ballot here? Give that to me. I'll make sure we take care of that ballot properly. Yeah, I bet you will. Now, we need to have a very simple process for voting. Everyone who's a citizen should be entitled to vote, and every legal vote should be counted. Nothing more, nothing less. We need to institute voter verification. We need to properly maintain our voter rolls. We need to ensure that we have photo or other government-issued identification in order to cast a ballot, whether it's absentee or in person. If you have to have it to board a plane or to buy alcohol, you should have it to cast a ballot. It is not suppression. It is integrity. That's what the issue is, integrity. And so in this election, we're not going to have that. So we do have a voter integrity team working hard to monitor, to survey, to document. Monitor, survey, and document, which means that we will then collect the evidence we need to go into court and to raise issues if necessary. We'll also be moving forward, and I'm asking for your help on this, after the recall election, because we don't have time to do it beforehand, but we are going to be moving forward on a statewide initiative to require government-issued identification in order to obtain a ballot. Even with the loosey-goosey, lack of integrity approach to voting that the Democrats are using in this election, we are still going to prevail, and let me tell you how. Everyone on your table received one of these. Pass it around. Take out your cell phone. We're advanced here. Just like your previous speaker talking about emails, we're pretty darn advanced. So as I walk through the recall issues, what you do is you take out your phone and you turn on your camera. And then, with your camera, you point it at one of the little boxes. And what your camera will do is it will pop up a little website that says, would you like to go to this website? And you click on it. I need you to do one of two things or two of two things. I need you to sign up as a volunteer, and I need you to consider contributing. So this is the easiest way to do it. It's all based on your phone. Now, I know some of you say, Carl, I can barely answer my phone, let alone point it at this document. All right, so I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to give you a website address, and it's not hard to forget. YesOnRecall.org. And in fact, I'm going to give you a really big handout. YesOnRecall.org. That's the website you go to, YesOnRecall.org. Super simple. Now, I know that I just found this out when I walked in. Apparently, your community doesn't do the lawn signs, right? But here's the thing. I want you to be the most popular person in your circle of friends. I want you to take one or two of these. Don't take one unless you think you know someone that can come pick it up from your house. But we only have a limited number of these signs, and we need to get them out there into people's homes, not on the road, because you know the Democrats will steal those. Heck, if you put them in your own personal property in your driveway, they'll probably steal that one too, or do worse. But what I want you to do is grab one or two of these or more if you think you have some friends that would love to come and pick up the Yes on Recall signs. These things are hot commodity. Free signs today that I left over there. But the website's on there, YesOnRecall.org. We need you to sign up to get the information because whenever the Democrats pull a trick in the next 7 weeks, we're going to let you know what the response is. So, for example, when Larry Elder was kept off the ballot, we organized within 24 hours and got a tax attorney to file a declaration in the court to defend his right to be on the ballot. Now imagine this. How many know Larry Elder? He's a good guy. I'm not endorsing any one candidate. My view is any candidate who wants to run should be able to run. Let the voters decide, okay? And my view is also if you get more people running for a recall, it brings more of the yes vote because they bring all their supporters in. But can you imagine if a Republican elected official who was Secretary of State, this was a Democrat, Shirley Weber's a Democrat, she made the decision to keep him off the ballot. But if the roles were reversed and a Republican elected official unilaterally chose to not list a black candidate on the ballot, what would the media do? They would light their hair on fire. Rachel Maddow would buy a pair of pearls just for the occasion of clutching them for the first time ever and screaming. We now have a situation where the Democrats know that this recall is a tough one for them to win, so they are doing everything they can to suppress the vote. And keeping Larry Elder off the ballot, they know he's one of the strongest candidates we have. He brings in a whole army of activists to work hard. And they knew if they could keep him off the ballot, we'd be hurt. Well, thankfully, a judge literally in 24 hours looked at the case and said, look, I'm a liberal California judge, but even I can't defend this one. Case approved. The guy's got to get on the ballot. And so Larry Elder will appear on the ballot. You get to vote for who you want to vote for. But we all have to explain to our friends why yes on recall is so important. And I want to talk about that for a moment because you're going to have to be the smart one to explain how the ballot works. So how does the ballot work? It's unlike anything you've ever gotten before, except for 2003. How many of you participated in the recall Gray Davis ballot in 2003? All right. That ballot will look like this ballot. It's very unusual. The first question, there's only 2 questions on the ballot. The first question says, should Governor Gavin Newsom be recalled from office? Yes or no? The answer is yes. All right? You will not see any other candidate's name on that portion of the ballot. It's just a yes, no. Should he be fired? Should he be recalled? Remember, a lot of your friends will not want to fill in the yes bubble. Some of them might actually fill in the no bubble. You have to assume nobody has knowledge of this. So you must walk them through the ballot and say, on that first question, should Governor Newsom be recalled, you must fill in the bubble yes. The yes does not mean your yes on Newsom. It means yes, he gets fired. So we all have to get a majority on the bubble. You've got to fill in the bubble. Some people don't know what the word recall means. Okay? I always say recall equals fired. Should he be fired? Yes, no, yes, yes, yes. So fill in the bubble. Now, if you're talking to a Democrat, tell them, oh, you can skip that one. And then and you can go to the next part of the ballot, which is, vote for the wingnut of your choice. Now, let me say about that. There are some Democrats who don't like Gavin Newsom. There's actually a good number of Democrats that don't like Gavin Newsom. First, he's not their identity politic hero. He's not from one of the specialty groups. He's male, pale, and stale, so they don't really like him. But they also know he hasn't done a very good job. They know that he has failed. They're not very joyous about Governor Gavin Newsom. And that's a good thing because it means that they won't really work hard to volunteer for him. They won't, it's a special election. Maybe they don't, they got a dental appointment or voting for Newsom. They'll go to the dental appointment, even if it's a root canal. They will do something else besides help this guy out. But what you need to tell the Democrats is, look, I'm not asking you to vote for a Republican candidate. That's the second part of the ballot. But I would like you to hold this guy accountable for his failings. Regardless of party affiliation, shouldn't we always hold politicians accountable when they fail? So let's send a message. When you fail, there's a consequence. So we're going to vote yes on recall. Do you know that a lot of Democrats are persuaded by that argument? So I want you to make that argument to your Democrat friends and assure them that they can vote for the Democrat of their choice on the second part of the ballot. There's 8 Democrats running on the second part of the ballot. There are about 20 Republicans running, and the rest are independents. There's 46 candidates on the replacement ballot. Now, for Gray Davis's recall, there's 100. So we have 46, and they'll be in randomized alphabetical order. The numbers were all moved up and randomly drawn. But you get to vote for one candidate and one candidate only on the second ballot. If you fill in the bubble for 2, it invalidates your choice there. Remind Democrats that they don't have to vote in the first question in order for their second vote to count. But please tell all Republicans they must vote yes in order for their second vote to count, because if we don't fire the guy, it doesn't matter who wins the replacement side. Now, how many of you heard the statement, we've got to unite behind one candidate if we're going to win against Newsom? How many of you heard that? It's not true. Not true. Here's why. Here's why. We have to get yes to a majority. That's all we need to do. Get yes to a majority to win. And Newsom's gone. As it relates to the replacement ballot, there is no high name ID Democrat running. There's a bunch of random folks that signed up to run. I think my cat would have more name ID than some of the people running, okay? So we're not worried about that replacement ballot because we think the Democrat votes will split evenly across those candidates. And right now, Larry Elder is at 16% in the polling on that replacement question. He's leading all the Republican candidates by 10 to 12 points. All of them are crowded at the low numbers. Again, I'm not endorsing anyone. I'm just simply saying you got a candidate who's already up there pretty far. So I feel pretty confident that the Republican candidate, will be at the top of the pile on that second ballot. And let people know that they can vote for whoever they'd like on that second ballot. But I think a lot of people are going to probably gravitate towards one or two candidates at the end of the day. And that's what we're seeing in the polling. What are the best arguments to use to get rid of Newsom? Well, I know you guys have a list of arguments on your table. I think they're pretty good. But we polled the top 5 arguments. These top 5 arguments have broad base appeal for Democrats and independents as well. So what are the 5 arguments? Number 1, it's too expensive in California. Don't you agree? Gas is too expensive. Housing is too expensive. The utility bills are too expensive. Taxes are too high. It's too darn expensive, and Gavin Newsom has been proposing more costs for all of us to bear. So number one is cost of living. Number two, there's too much crime. It's too unsafe. The Democrats are coddling criminals. They're releasing prisoners from prison. They are allowing sex offenders into our neighborhoods next to our schools. Those are bills that he signed, by the way. He signed a bill allowing sex offenders to avoid registry and monitoring, even if they assaulted and molested children as young as age 14. That's the bill he signed, SB 145. That was just last September. He proposes to release 76,000 convicts onto our streets. He backed Prop 47, which lessens penalties from felonies to misdemeanors to now parking tickets. He's for giving no one a bail, that you just get to walk out of prison right after you're arrested. There's a guy we tracked in Riverside. He was arrested not once, not twice, but 3 times on the same day. And each time, the Riverside sheriff had to release him into the community, and they watched him go and do another crime. It's got to stop, folks. People are going to get killed. People are getting killed. Murders are up 38% statewide. Did you know that? Year to date, 38% statewide. Violent assaults are up 145% year to date. Property crimes. Do you see the videos of those people walking out of the stores? They don't even hide their faces anymore. They walk right out with impunity. That is what the Democrat coddle the criminal approach has brought California. So the second issue to talk about is crime and safety. The third issue, look at what they've done to our children. They shut the schools. And even the schools, when they're open, are failing our children because they're not getting the basic curriculum taught. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. More than half of California schools fail at least one or more of the basic proficiency standards. Half. And when you look at minority children, they are getting hurt the worst. Schools serving predominantly majority minority clientele, students, 71% of those schools are failing the proficiency standards. So don't give me this nonsense about institutional racism. You want to know the worst institutional racism? When you measure it by outcome, it's Democrat-run school districts and cities. That's the people who say they're there to stop racism are the ones presiding over the districts and the cities that are the worst for our minority population. How about that? The fourth reason why you should vote him out of office, homelessness has become literally the filth on our streets. We are losing these people. These are lives that are being lost. But it's also the quality of life in our communities has just plummeted. Why? Because we no longer are holding homeless individuals accountable to break that cycle. We are now coddling the homeless like we coddle the criminals. These are people with mental health problems. These are people with substance abuse problems. And for everyone on the street, I guarantee you this, and I know many of you, this is the dirty little secret we don't talk about. All of you have someone in your family that's just a few clicks away from homelessness. And then some of you, you pray for, and some of you, you've cried over. These are people with mental health problems and substance abuse problems, and you love them dearly, and you have pleaded with them for how many years to please get your life in order. If a family's love has failed to keep that person from spiraling down to complete dependency, then why do you think government is somehow going to encourage them to change? No. We need to do what Mayor Giuliani did in New York, what successful mayors and governors have done across the country. We need to use tough love, compassion, but accountability. And we need to tell these people that we have a bed, we have a meal, but we also have rules. Clean and sober, and you're going to go through the mental health programs. We have lives to save. And we cannot save those lives by coddling them like the Democrats and like Mr. Newsom has done. So the fourth issue is homelessness. The fifth issue, it's easy. The guy is an arrogant hypocrite. While he told you you had to mask up and not go out to eat, he dined without a mask at a restaurant opened just that evening for his personal pleasure, so that he could hobnob with the rich lobbyists buying his favor for government contracts and special consideration. Oh, and even better, when he shut down the schools for your kids and grandkids, his kids got to go to private school. Oh, and even better than that, when your granddaughter lost her job, when your grandson lost his job, when your neighbor lost her job, did he inquire about how he could get them unemployment benefits? No. Everyone knows the unemployment benefits got screwed up. Prisoners got them easier than needy working families or out-of-work families. But Governor Newsom did not ever miss a paycheck. In fact, Newsom gave himself a raise. Those are the 5 reasons. And if you deliver those 5 reasons, we're going to win a 65% yes vote. We're going to win a vote that is so overwhelming. Now, here's the problem we're having. Newsom is in charge. He's the governor, and he's been able to get all the special interests to shimmy, shimmy, and write the big checks. How many of you watch Netflix? Well, $3 million just went from Netflix to Gavin Newsom. How many of you have ever seen Paramount Films? Well, they just gave $50,000 to Governor Newsom. Google, Facebook, all these big tech giants that are muzzling your First Amendment rights are lining his pockets with campaign cash. He has raised $31 million to run deceitful ads. He's trying to say that the recall is backed by white supremacists. Go figure. The leading Republican candidate is the black guy. Okay, so there you go. He's trying to say it's the Republican recall. No, 2.1 million signatures, and a third of the signatures were independents and Democrats. The latest polling shows we're winning independents, winning Republicans, and we are winning 1 out of 5 Democrats. You know why we're so diverse in our coalition? Newsom is really that big of a failure. He has hurt so many people that he's brought all these different people together, all agreeing that he needs to be disciplined and he needs to be fired. And so all of these issues, by the way, these talking points are all on the website, yesonrecall.org. Final point. Next Saturday, not tomorrow, but next Saturday. Saturday, 9:30 in the morning, July 31st, Reform California, Yes on Recall, and the Republican Party of Orange County are partnering for a massive rally at the Irvine Marriott. Please come. I need you to bring 5 friends along with you. For some of you who don't drive, call up a friend and say, you're driving me. You're driving me, and you're going to bring some 5. We're going to stop off 5 different homes. We're going to pick 5 people up. We're going to get to the Irvine Marriott. They will get door hangers, and they will get yard signs, and they will get all the talking points, and they'll hear from some really good candidates. But we need you to get to that rally Saturday, July 31st at 9:30 in the morning, so we can send a message that we are ready to recall. Yes? July 31st. Yeah, Saturday, July 31st. So with that, questions, comments, go ahead, right there, lady in green. Or yellow, green first and then yellow. Sadly, he will walk out a very rich man. Yeah, but we got to make sure he walks out. Before he does more damage, he's got to go. For the people at home, the question is, will this spread? If we win in the recall against Newsom in a blue state, will it spread? You're damn right it's going to spread. It's sending a message. We're done with the socialist experiment. It failed in California. It will fail in America, and we cannot let our country go down that road. That's why I've said, as I said in the beginning, you need to fight, not just like this is about California, although that should be enough reason, right? Our country is depending upon us to start the revolution nationwide. We got to get this vote, yes, on recall. The latest polling, by the way, is good. Do not listen to the liberal media. This election right now is tied. It is 45-45. All of our internal polling shows 45-45. And you know what? The Democrats know it's close. Do you know why? They're bringing the they're bringing the vice president into town. Kamala Harris is flying in on the broomstick and campaigning for Governor Gavin Newsom. If this was in the bag, they wouldn't be doing that. They know this is a tight election, and that's why you are powerful. You matter in this fight. Lady in yellow, please stand up.
Okay, thank you. Oops. My concern is overturning the will of the people. I'm sorry. My concern is overturning the will of the people, as was done with Prop 187 in the 80s. One judge overturned the will of the people. So what's to prevent this being overturned if we do vote overwhelmingly?
The question is, can this be overturned by a judge? The answer is, even with the liberal judges in California, once a yes vote gets 50% plus one, he is out of office, he is gone, and the new replacement governor is sworn in. It happens overnight. It happens immediately. Other questions? Yes, ma'am, in the floral top.
Do we have to register or RSVP to go to the rally?
Please register for the rally at yesonrecall.org so we have enough lawn signs.
Yes,
but we
on recall?
won't turn anyone away.
Okay, yes on recall.org.
Yesonrecall.org. Pretty easy to remember. Yesonrecall.org. Particularly if you take one of these handy-dandy bumblebee signs. You can see this a mile away, by the way. It's pretty good. At night, it looks great.
Question.
Yeah.
The election was moved from November to September, and that was supposed to be an advantage to the Democrats. What is the advantage of moving it closer?
The advantage to moving the election closer for the Democrats is they know that we're funded by grassroots. Our donors give an average of $67 a month. They typically do $25 at a time. So every 2 or 3 weeks, someone will go online and send me $25 or send in a check for $25. Some people send $500, $200, but we are entirely grassroots. Newsom raised with Netflix $3 million, more than we've raised the entirety of the campaign. One check. Okay, that's how he gets the special interest dark money. But you know what? He's going to outspend us, but he ain't going to outwork us. We got an army of people on the ground. They are calling their friends. They're texting their friends. They're emailing their friends. They're going door to door. We got door hangers. And if we get our army out there, you know what? You can't buy that. You can't buy that on TV. It's all on the ground, and that's how we're going to win. Other questions? Right over here at this table. Go.
No,
Right over here. Go ahead, ma'am.
she's getting a box.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. Right over here in the baseball cap.
Here you go.
But Proposition 13, to safeguard Proposition 13.
There's nothing else on the ballot. It is only the recall election. There will be other initiatives next year, but I can tell you right now that they are always going after Prop 13. They're always going after additional tax increases, and that's why getting the governor on our side, getting a governor who will stand up to the Sacramento swamp is so important. But nothing else will be on this ballot but the recall election.
The other thing, the other question I have is that the teacher unions in the state of California, I think we're underestimating them because it's a very powerful lobbyist group. And 90% of them are Democrat. I taught 39 years, and I know how teacher unions are. And we need to go against them because they are a powerful factor in the state of California.
I totally agree. We need to start standing up for the kids again, and that's where parents and school boards need to play the role of the adults because our children have not been well served by the people running the current schools. Last comment or question? Yes, right here. You'll be our last one, ma'am. Stand up and I'll repeat it.
Is there a problem with homeowners associations here or not?
The question is, can I put a sign up even if with a homeowner association? You are protected under the Sterling Davis Act.
Good.
Your First Amendment rights allow you to put this anywhere you want, no matter where you live. No HOA, no association can deprive you of a sign this size. Now, if it's more than 3 feet by 3 feet, then you have a problem. But this is not 3 feet by 3 feet. This is a perfectly compliant sign. So you may put this up,
Great.
and you may proudly display it. I won't guarantee a left-wing thug won't take it and steal it in the dead of night, but you may, under your constitutional rights, express yourself politically with no restrictions.
Very good.
No homeowners association, no planned community can deprive you of a right of putting a sign in your yard.
Thank you very much.
With that, what are our assignments? Number one, sign up with your cell phone. Please contribute or volunteer. If you can't volunteer, give $5 at least. We need to get this campaign funded and powered with volunteers. Also, come next Saturday, not this Saturday, not tomorrow, but next Saturday, the 31st, 9:30 in the morning, Irvine Marriott on Von Carmen, not the other one, Von Carmen, not the Spectrum one, but the one on Von Carmen, to our 9:30 a.m. Saturday, July 31st rally. Yes, on recall, there will be more goodies that will be given out there. And I want you to know that you are powerful. They're counting on you thinking that this is never going to happen. They're counting on you thinking that, oh, nobody will miss little old me. Now, if we all work together, we are all a brick in the foundation of the fortress that will defend our freedoms. Thank you so much.
And while we're waiting, Bob Linder, where are you? Please come up. He's our voter registrar in the village. He also will go other places, and he's left a blank form on the table. Here's Bob Linder.
The Democrats are well organized. They've been getting out the vote. And as you all know, they control California, they control the House of Representatives, and they control the Senate. We need more volunteers. As we approach the 22 election, we need people to volunteer, to call, to make phone calls, to do maybe envelopes and things like that. It's a critical time. If we don't win in 22, the Republican Party may be lost completely. So if you can volunteer, you can get a hold of Kathy. We're starting a volunteer activities later in the year, and so we need your name, phone number, or email. Remember, without the volunteers, we may lose. And if we lose, as Carl DeMaio pointed out, we're lost. It'll be a socialist government. And as you know, when you talk to Democrats, talk about the issues. If you want to convince them, talk about the sanctuary cities, defunding the police, transgenders having the right to compete with females, use female bathrooms. I've been going through executive orders, and hopefully we can get them out eventually. I put some on the table, some of the tables, and that's what is actually running the country, those executive orders. And they're trying to pass H.R. 1. Now, people can give their opinion, but when you go to the bill and you see what they want to do to these to the country, it's right there. So what we hope to do is to get it out to show in the actual bills what section, what paragraph, and what they want to do. So in order to win, though, besides convincing other people, independents, Democrats, that they have to be informed, you have to tell them what it is the Democrats are pushing. Now, most Democrats are not informed. It's the leaders are the ones who are pushing these things, which are detrimental to the United States. So what I'm asking is, unless we get more volunteers than the 20 and 30 that we have, who can do simple tasks, we are going to lose. It's a very serious thing. I hate to talk so seriously when we're enjoying ourselves, but that's a fact. In regards to energy, we were energy independent before Biden came in, and now we're not. Now the Russians are supplying Europe with all their energy. And there's an explanation of that, how we got into that mess with the president that we have now. So getting back to voter registration, we need more volunteers. And the Globe has a phone number that Kathy has there, and you can get hold of Carol also. But unless you people volunteer, we're not going to win. And the job you have to do is simple. It may be stuffing envelopes, it may be calling, walking the precincts, whatever. But unless you volunteer, we're not going to win.
I'd like to close with this quote from Morton Blackwell from the Leadership Institute. Ronald Reagan said, "Freedom is never more than one generation from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be taught for protection and handed on to them to do the same." It's up to you and me to make sure that the next generation is filled with strong conservatives, leaders, ready and willing to fight for our shared conservative principles. That's from Mr. Morton Blackwell. Thank you for coming. We'll see you in 2 weeks, August 6th, for Ice Cream Social. Thank you so much for coming.